Hey guys, I just wanted to bring to your attention the Mystery Shirt Club. They are doing the special Mystery Shirt Euro boxes, which you can purchase online now at themysteryshirtclub.com. You can get 10% off any mystery box they offer, thanks to All for United. Just use the code AFU10, that's AFU10 at the checkout to get 10% off your Mystery Shirt Club box. Really, really simple. You place that order, you get one of these sent to you. You don't know what you're getting, you don't know what kit it is, you don't know what jersey it is. So when you open it, like I'm just about to do now, here we go. It's all a mystery. It's all a surprise. I'm going to have to wear this on Friday when England play Scotland. What year is this from? This is from 2 years ago, was it? 2 years, 3 years back? I've got an England mystery shirt. What are you going to get? Order now, themysteryshirtclub.com. Buzzing with that. Welcome along to another Euros Daily podcast. Thanks to the Mystery Shirt Club. We're going to get you winning a Euros box a bit later on in the show. But first of all, let's get into chatting with our guests. James is still buzzing off his corona from last night. If you didn't watch AFU Uncut, you've got to go and watch that. Connor's still buzzing from Max Verstappen's win at the F1 yesterday. And Charlie's just Charlie. Welcome along, guys. Thank you for joining me today. Really looking forward to this. We do about half an hour as we normally do on the Euros. And I think there is only one place to start, James. Wales are through.
Yeah, they are. It was a good performance as well, I think, all things considered. I think, Italy, I'll start with Italy. They're just ruthless. I had my doubts after the first game that, maybe they've not been tested or whatever, but, to make 8 changes and still have that level of dominance against a Wales team, which are, they're a serious team. They're a serious outfit nowadays, aren't they? They could go some distance in this competition themselves, and for Italy's second team to come in and school them completely, it was scary to see from an England perspective. They just controlled the game from start to finish. Wales had that one chance with Gareth Bale that wasn't taken. We were disappointed with that, but eventually it didn't really matter, did it? So Italy, very, very scary prospect by the looks of it. But Wales did themselves proud defensively. I think the keeper had a good game as well. A few bits to tidy up if they want to go as far as they did in 2016, but it's promising from them.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're looking at a team that so far has sort of kept consistent, they've looked good. They've looked, so to speak, like they're not going to even lose a game. That you can say what you want about their group. But Charlie, Italy are getting the job done. Do they need some more credit on their name?
Yeah, definitely. Italy have done very, very well so far. I actually did a little bit of research before I came on just to have a look how good they are. The last time they lost was in 2018. It's been about 2.5, nearly 3 years now. And in that period, they've only since that loss, they've only conceded 7 goals. It's just unbelievable. They scored 81 goals in that time. So yeah, they are a special side, and they haven't conceded a goal yet in the tournament. It looks like they're going to play Ukraine or Austria in the round of 16. The team who obviously today that game's on at 5. I think that game's dead certain for a draw anyway. But I think it'll be Ukraine or Austria, and they're going to play. And then in the quarterfinal, it'll be a team from Group D or E, which I think they probably beat any team from those groups. You've got England, you've got Croatia, and then from Group E, you've got the likes of Spain and Sweden. So, I think they could go quite far. If you're not conceding any goals, you've always got a chance. I've said this, obviously, with Man United this season, or last season, let's say. The big problem with Man United is the goals they conceded. If you're letting in so many goals, it's going to catch up with you at some point. You have to build from the back. You have to build a strong foundation. You look at the way Tuchel's gone to Chelsea. Some people call them, boring and everything, but they get the job done. They win 1 and 2-0. They just get it done. This is what this Italy team do. And yeah, as James said, they made 8 changes. They still won 1-0 and they kept a clean sheet. And an interesting thing is, Wales has scored against Turkey and Switzerland, but they failed to score yesterday. So, Wales are a decent side and Italy kept them out. So yeah, and then on Wales, I think Wales will go further than England in this tournament, actually. I think Wales, who are they going to play in the next round? Somebody from Group B. So that's probably going to be Russia or Finland, the team who finishes second in Group B, and Wales will give both of those teams a good game. And I actually think Wales could get to the quarterfinal, and I think they'll get as far as England will. So yeah, Wales have done very well. They're always that team, Wales, that they've got some real good quality players. They have got Bale, Ramsey, Dan James has done well. They've got the big lad Moore up front who can cause problems. So yeah, I think we have to give some credit to Wales as well. But yeah, Italy, they're just a very, very good side.
It's interesting, isn't it, that there's some Manchester connections in here. Mancini, the manager of Italy, obviously had his time at City, but with Wales, obviously Dan James, Connor, has been getting a lot of love throughout this tournament so far. What have you made of Dan James in the Euros? And for him, his confidence has clearly been an issue at times at United as a young lad coming in from a lower league. Could this spur him on a little bit?
I hope so. He's probably been Wales, one of the best players for Wales in this tournament so far, and it's good to see because I do like Dan James. And I think one of the main things, obviously, we spoke about before, he's out on the left in his natural position with United. Sometimes he's playing as a strike partnership when we play that kind of formation. Sometimes he's shoved out on the right. He's in and out of the team. I think with Wales, he knows his job. He knows he's out on the left. He knows he's going to be next to him up front. He knows he's going to be behind him at left wing back, or if they play a 4, he knows he's going to be in midfield. So I hope he kicks on next season. Obviously, there's doubts whether he might have a loan spell, whether he's going to be in and out of the team again next year, especially if Sancho comes in. His game time is going to be even more limited. So yeah, he's definitely been one of Wales' best players this year. Whether that's going to continue in a United shirt, I'm not too sure, but yeah, for sure, it's good to see that he's having a good tournament. And to be fair, a lot of the United lads are having a good tournament. I don't think there's a single United player this tournament that's having a bad one, unless somebody can call me out on that one.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, De Gea's just not playing, is he? Can't have a bad tournament if you don't play. But yeah, no, I am with you on that one. Obviously, future United player Jadon Sancho, we haven't seen much of him either. We can start talking about him being a United player now, can't we? Surely, it's been so long in the making. I think this is interesting as well in terms of like camaraderie and team camaraderie. Italy have played 25 out of their 26 players in the Euros. Of course, they made the goalkeeping substitution, didn't they, against Wales as well, which was people were looking at it like, God, that's weird. But ultimately, this Mancini getting the whole of his squad involved with their success in this campaign. It's the camaraderie, so to speak, that does a lot. James, let's talk about them, Italy. As Charlie sort of hit on their route towards the quarterfinals and the semi-finals already. Probably get through the next round of 16. The big question is then, should they, at the moment, given the games we've seen and the teams we've seen play, should Italy, at the moment, on paper, be favourites for this tournament?
I was thinking about this the other day, watching them. In my mind, having seen everyone play at least twice, they've got to be my favourites. I was impressed with France against Germany, but against Hungary, they were, poor. Chance creation-wise, they were good, but that finishing touch that you need is poor, and obviously they can concede a goal from anywhere. Then you've got Portugal and Germany, who both look a bit suspect at the back. Again, I think Italy could pick those apart, and I think they're strong enough to defend against both of those two as well. So other than that, we like to say England are favourites, but from what we've seen, they're nowhere near, are they? They're not even at the level of Portugal or Germany, never mind Italy. So I really, as it stands, things can change within a minute in international football, but as it stands, I don't really see where Italy drop off. The squad rotation's good. They've got a lot of young players mixed with experience. There's a lot of energy in this squad. Like I said, that's maintained by the rotation. There's so much momentum as well in this Italian team. They seem like such a cohesive unit. You can see that even when they're singing the national anthem. There's so much passion and desire and pride to play for this national team that you don't see with other countries. You watch England players sing the national anthem. I guess it's not really that relevant, but it comes across. You got half of them that aren't even singing. And then you look at like Bonucci, for example. Yesterday, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. But Italy, there's just quality all over the park as well, isn't there? They've got two left backs in Spinazzola and Emerson who aren't setting the world alight for their club, and yet they've looked like two of the most dangerous players in this competition. That's the credit to Mancini's tactics that he's deploying. This midfield quality they've got, the midfield that they did have in Locatelli, Jorginho, and I can't think of the other player now, but to replace some of those and bring. Well, he didn't start the first two games, did he? Barella, that's it.
Barella,
To replace
that's it, yeah.
3 players of that quality with, a Verratti, bringing in Pessina from Atalanta, who's having a quality season as well, there's strength in depth all over the board. That attacking lineup as well. The fact that Chiesa's first start came yesterday is incredible. But Bernardeschi not having his greatest season, but we know he's got talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't be playing for Juventus. And then, they're bringing in one of the hottest centre-back prospects in the world in Bastoni to replace Chiellini, who's been one of the world's best centre-backs for a number of years now. So there's depth across the board for Italy that they can rely on. And yeah, I fully expect them to at least reach the final from this stage.
As you said, 8 changes yesterday. And you said Chiesa, hasn't he? Didn't he have the most assists in Serie A last season, or something like goal assist ratio was off the chart as well, wasn't it? 10, it's 12 goals, 11 assists, something like that last season, which again is something that you can rely upon. Connor, you completely disagree with James, though, didn't you? Italy are dead. They're a dead horse walking, aren't they?
Yeah, and this is not the running joke from yesterday either that we tried to play on Stuart. I'm still not convinced, and I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying it. Now, somebody, it might have been Charlie, mentioned they haven't conceded a goal yet. Well, neither's England. So does that mean that we're defensively very strong and that we could go far because we haven't conceded? There's a few teams that haven't conceded yet that look decent. And don't get me wrong, Italy are definitely one of the best teams in this tournament. But I will be amazed, and I'll say this on record, if they get past the quarterfinals. I think once they come up against a team with, you could say Wales have got some quality. Every team in the Euros has got some quality in it. But I think once they come up against a full team of quality, they'll be found out. So I'll just put on record and say I'll be amazed if they get past the quarterfinals. So this talk of them going all the way, they come up against any of the Belgium, even Netherlands, I'll throw in there. Portugal, Germany, France, England, that they wouldn't get past them, in my opinion. So, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not just saying that just as a joke from the Uncut show yesterday.
So not coming home in Italian? I don't know, but ultimately that's what you're trying to tell them. Go on, James.
I'll disagree with Connor then. I think the goals conceded argument is completely different because England haven't conceded, but they're also not blowing teams away. England's games have all been a midfield battle where they've got that defensive stability because they're not showing any sort of ruthlessness in attack and they're not playing any risks. And we saw against Scotland, they could have easily conceded. Scotland were unfortunate not to score, whereas Italy, they're completely blowing teams away whilst I think they must have conceded the fewest shots per game, given they've played a game extra. You never, like the Turkey game, I think they had 24 shots to Turkey's 2. That's relentless. It's ridiculous. So I think that's the difference that we're seeing so far. Italy are adding that defensive stability with some, attacking prowess as well. Whereas England are playing it very safe. And yes, we've got clean sheets from it, but we're also only scored 1 goal, haven't we?
Yeah, but I think that Scotland game is maybe a one-off. Do you think if Italy come up against that Croatian midfield, that Italy ping it around and dominate them like they have done the teams in their group? I mean, let's not be real. Turkey and Switzerland have been all right. Turkey have been absolutely woeful.
Thank you for mentioning Turkey because it makes my segue here a lot easier than it would have been before. Because also Stuart's just popped up with I disagree with James. Well, Stuart, I think we're all disagreeing with you right now because Turkey are my dark horses. Turkey are going to be so good. But no, it's true, Charlie. A lot of people were rating Turkey going into this tournament, and they have had an abysmal showing. They obviously haven't won a game. They've conceded 8. They've scored 1. Rock bottom of Group A. Are you shocked? Are you disappointed in Turkey?
I didn't really know what to expect from Turkey, to be honest. I think going into that group, I predicted Italy to win the group. I thought Wales would put up a good fight, and Switzerland are not a bad side. But I didn't really know much about Turkey. But they finally scored. At least they scored a goal. Bless them. They got their goal yesterday. At least.
Bless them.
That at least the fans had something to celebrate. But on the point about easy groups and things, England on paper England, you could say England have got an easy group. Italy's group on paper, I think, is not that much easier than England's. Italy have made their group look easy, and that's what the good teams do. They make that. It's like Man City. I think when the new fixtures came out for Man United, everyone was saying, the first 6 games for the new season look quite easy games, but those are the games that Man United stumble on, and those are the games that Man City always make look easy because they're such a good side. These are Italy have made their games look easy, I think. And I think Italy, the argument about clean sheets and stuff, England have had 2 clean sheets, but England, the technical ability, particularly in England's midfield, is nowhere near the technical ability in the Italy midfield. Rice and Phillips on the ball compared to Locatelli, Jorginho and Barella is just a completely different ball game.
England have one of the most overrated midfields ever. I'm sorry, but we do. I genuinely.
Yeah, definitely. England are. I said before, England are over. Everyone gets overhyped, and then everyone gets disappointed.
It's called being a football fan, Charlie. We dare to dream, my friend.
I know. But I've dreamed before with England, and it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? But yeah, on Italy, I think they'll get to the quarterfinal. Whether they'll get past it, I'm not so sure. I don't think they're the favourites by any stretch. Still, I still think at the back they lack a bit of pace, and I've talked about pace quite a lot. I know pace isn't everything in football, but I think if they do come up against a team like France, I think they will cause Italy problems. But they have, in this run where they've only conceded a few goals, they have beaten France, they have drawn to the Netherlands, they have played quite good sides. So. Italy.
And sorry, Charlie, I was going to say they play the way that teams like France hate playing against. That's how Italy play their football, in terms of that they're comfortable on the ball. They don't mind being pressurized because they can break the lines as well. They don't mind pumping it upfield. They're not all about keeping the ball to feet. But also they can take pressure and not break. And ultimately, if you can score on the breakaway, that's fine. It's the way that United hate play. It's this, at times they can revert to a low block, and teams like France, even club like United hate playing against teams like we saw with Hungary against France the other day. Ultimately, in tournament football, knockout football, it just takes that goal, doesn't it? You need to stay patient. You need to stay calm under pressure. So it will be interesting to see what Mancini does. I really want to see Italy up against the wall. I want to see them 1-0 down, and then see how they, so to speak, react to chasing a game against a bigger side. I think that would be the teller as to whether this Italy team can do it or not. But we'd have to.
Just two last points, but on Italy, right? 2 things that Italy have that not many other teams have, maybe compared to England. They've got some nasty, gritty, experienced players that England don't have in major tournaments. Even Chiellini, I hope he comes back, but they've got, Bonucci, has Jorginho, he's just won the Champions League. They've got these gritty, real experience, and they've got some nasty players that don't mind putting their body on the line. And the other thing is they've got a top class manager who, it's not all about, there's the argument Pep Guardiola gets, oh, look how much money he gets to spend, but Pep Guardiola is still a fantastic manager, and he gets all those players together in a proper system. And that's what Mancini does. It doesn't matter how good your players are. You need to get them all playing in the system, all singing the same tune, all on the same wavelength. And that's what Italy do as well.
They also bring the swag. Bloody hell, those guys with their suits. Yeah. And have you seen those bomber jackets as well? The grey bomber jackets with the Italian logo on it. Oh my God, Locatelli walked into the press conference the other day looking like some model, the way he was sat there, moving around the Coca-Cola and stuff. Blimey, I'd love to be Italian. Let's have a look at today's fixtures. 5:00, Ukraine against Austria. It looks like Italy have played a winner of that game. North Macedonia against the Netherlands. And then later at 8, we've got Russia against Denmark, Finland against Belgium. Still open in that group, by the way. If Denmark can get a 2-3-0 win against Russia, they are obviously into the playoffs. This third spot, guys, honestly, it's driving me mental. Why is a third place team qualifying? It's fucking ridiculous. But let's talk about Netherlands and Belgium. Let's single these guys out. Memphis Depay, James, is now signed for Barcelona, so he's now a world-class striker that United let get away, of course. What do you make of this Netherlands team so far? And surely you don't see a bump in the road at all today. They're through anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, they're through anyway. I'm still not sold on Memphis Depay. I think when he first signed for United, I was convinced he was going to be, the heir to Ronaldo or as such.
Yeah,
but since his time at United, it was disappointing. I think he's had a couple of good seasons at Lyon, but I think he's not truly recovered from that ligament injury he got under 2019. I think that's really set him back a little bit, and I'm not seeing the same player that we saw when he first signed for Lyon. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's playing well, but I don't think he's setting the world alight. I don't think Barcelona would have signed Depay if they had to pay a fee for him. I'll put it that way. I think that they bought him because it's a financial decision. they need a squad full of players that can come in for cheap, that can contest. I don't think they're going to be expected to win anything, but I say this Netherlands team it's not full of like stars, other than maybe your Frankie De Jongs and your De Ligt. I think those two players are quality. I'd love, absolutely adore Frankie De Jong at United, but that's never going to happen. But yeah, they're like Italy. They're a cohesive unit. You know, the Dumfries coming in, sort of under the radar at PSV, putting in a couple of very good seasons there, and now he's really showing what he's all about. Wijnaldum, I've always said, is arguably Liverpool's best midfielder. I've really rated Wijnaldum for a couple of years. I think it'll be interesting to see what he does at PSG now. I think Liverpool have massively underestimated what influence he'll have. And then you've got experienced players like, you know, Daley Blind at the back, and the goalkeeper. I think they're still going with Stecklenburg, aren't they? Who's going to be a leader out there. So, you know, they're a good team. I still don't expect them to, you know, if they come up against an Italy, I'm taking Italy all day, every day. But, you know, don't get me wrong, it's a team that at this stage would probably still beat England. So fair play to them. And I fully expect them to go through with 9 points.
I read the other day, Dumfries. Is it Dumfries or Dumfries? I'm not so sure. Sorry if I've absolutely murdered his name. Apparently, he's available for 15 million euros this summer. He's got a release clause in his contract, and Bayern Munich are having a look at him, but they don't want to pay 15 million euros for him. I mean, the kid looks decent. I know he's 25, but he's an option, isn't he? He's an attacking fullback, more like a wing back. Obviously, can play wide in the forward positions as well. But Connor, we're starting to see some players like this sort of come out the woodworks, aren't we? Locatelli's one of them. You know, we was all expecting Schick to be the next big world-class striker after his goal against Scotland and to be linked with everyone. But the Netherlands do have a few players there that can get the job done, don't they? Again, you know, Daley Blind, fantastic footballer. You've got Dumfries who's showing his talent. The young, what's his name? The young striker. What's he called? Weghorst, that's it. He's looking quite good as well. So they're still a team to watch out for, the Netherlands, aren't they? You can't write them off.
Yeah, they're a weird team, aren't they? Because they look so good going forward, but I think going in defence, this is the one thing they've probably got against them. Although they played a fight at the back, and they've been playing Van Aanholt, which is weird because all through the qualifiers and leading up to it, they've played that. I might butcher his name here, but that Wendell, I think he's called at left back.
Yeah, Wendell,
to switch to Van Aanholt was a bit strange. I mean, they've got the only thing I'd say with Netherlands, I don't think they've got that much quality on the bench, and I think that's the one advantage if you want to take it back to an England standpoint. We've still got arguably most of our best players on the bench because of, let's just say, our manager. So when you look at Netherlands, I'm just looking at their bench now. Promes is probably the only player you'd bring on in a situation where their back's against the wall, but I don't think they've got that many decent players on the bench.
Is he still playing for Zenit or no Spartak? Isn't he? Quincy Promes, I think so. Yeah, he's over in Russia now, isn't he?
So don't get me wrong, they've got some really good players, but they're another team. I think quarterfinal stage, maybe sneak through to the semi-finals if they get a good draw. But yeah, they're an exciting team to watch. Like James said, that midfield, De Jong, Wijnaldum, brilliant link up together. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sold on the pie either at the moment. It's interesting, isn't it? When the Euros come around or a World Cup comes around, some players have one or two good games and everyone thinks they're the second coming. So yeah, I think you just got to be careful with overhyping certain players just after a couple of good games in the tournament, because we've seen what can happen with players, especially when United are linked with them. That you watch them in a tournament, you think they're world class, and then you get them after the tournament and they go back to how they usually are. So yeah, they've got some exciting players, but I wouldn't expect them to get further than potentially the quarter semi-final stage either.
And let's, Charlie, quickly hit on Belgium again. I don't know what we're expecting to see from them today, but different player with Kevin De Bruyne, aren't they? They managed to obviously get that win against Denmark during last week. And for them, really, it's set up to be the final hurrah for this generation of players, it seems. What have you made of Belgium so far? And ultimately, where do they fit for you in terms of distance, in terms of the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, Belgium. Obviously, they're ranked number one in the world, aren't they?
They don't look like the world, like the number one.
Yeah,
do they at all?
They don't. They're a bit of a strange one, aren't they, Belgium? They've been given a group with Russia, Finland, and Denmark that you'd say none of those teams are particularly awful, and none of those teams are particularly challenging. And I'd say that, today they're playing Finland. I expect them to make changes, as with the Netherlands as well. Netherlands have definitely finished top as well. They're 100% top of the group. But I think Belgium could still, obviously, if they get beat by Finland, it'd have to be a big score. But they're pretty much going to finish top 2. So I think they're going to make some changes. But yeah, De Bruyne makes a huge difference. But again, their back 3 is a little bit suspect. They're coming towards the end of their careers. Boyata isn't the best. Vertonghen's getting a bit old. And this is their last chance, I think, Belgium. This is their last chance now. Their midfield with Tielemans, Witsel, De Bruyne. You've got Eden Hazard, who doesn't really look at it. Lukaku will always give you goals. That he could take them far. But I think Belgium, again, I think they'll get to this probably around the semi-final stage, but I don't think they're going to win this tournament. I just think that no one's, but I think James said, nobody's really blown, and only Italy, and Italy haven't really blown anybody away with any quality yet in terms of the opposition they've played. But I think Germany are a team that, going on to Germany, they're a team that I think they could be a team that not too many people are talking about now, but I think they could go very far, Germany. They always seem to kick in when it matters. But Belgium, yeah, bit of a strange one, as you said, Ben. They don't look like they're the number 1, do they? They've got some good players, but this is their last chance, I think. Now, this tournament, I think we've got the World Cup next year as well, haven't we? So maybe perhaps next year could be the last chance. But they're getting a lot of their squad is aging, and I don't really like the way they set up. It always looks a bit awkward, like the 3 at the back, and you've got. I think they play. Maybe Thorgan Hazard as a left wing back. I think they do they?
Yeah, they do, don't they?
It all looks a bit, it doesn't quite look right to me. I don't know. It
used to be Carrasco, didn't it? Carrasco, yeah.
But if they've got a good manager, in all fairness, Roberto Martinez, he's a good manager. They've scored 5 goals. They've only conceded 1. So, they're doing okay. But again, this Euros is up for grabs. If England really went up for it, if England were really up for it and had a better manager, England have got a great chance if they wake up, because this tournament, honestly, these so-called very good sides have been average at best at times. But again, it's all about winning your games in the group. All you need to do is get out of the group. It doesn't matter how you get out of the group, as long as you get out of it. The golden generation there. Yeah.
I find it so. By the way, did anyone know that the FIFA World Rankings are no longer the FIFA World Rankings? They're now the Coca-Cola Men's World Rankings. Did anyone know that? It's been sold out. Yeah, it's the Coca-Cola World Rankings. So Belgium are first, France are second, Brazil are third, England 4th, Portugal 5th. And then you've got Spain, Italy, Argentina, Uruguay, Denmark. And then you've got Mexico, Germany, Switzerland, Croatia in the top 15.
See, I think Belgium get their FIFA World Ranking points the same way Pele used to get his goals, just by absolutely battering tiny little teams, because they've never even reached a final of a major competition. How on earth are they the best team in the world above France?
Well, and we're all sat here like saying, oh, it's a shocker that Wales are through. Like, they've done really well to get through. They're 17th in the world rankings, Wales. 17th. They're inside the top 20. Like, it's a little bit it's a little bit bonkers. I sort of don't know how this works. Serbia are 25th. They didn't even make the Euros. It's an odd one, isn't it? This world rank, the Coca-Cola World Rankings. So there we go. Let's move on to one more point then. Today's breaking news: Billy Gilmour, after his amazing game, James, against England, has tested positive for COVID. He is now out of the squad. I find this all a little bit weird. Apparently, England players have all returned negative tests. So have all the other Scottish players, but he hasn't come into contact with any Scottish players. It's all a little bit odd. But Billy Gilmour, a miss for Scotland.
Oh yeah, definitely. He changed that team. They looked hopeless against Czech Republic. To be kind, there's a little bit going forward, but defensively, 2 good goals by Czech Republic, but there was other chances as well when Billy Gilmour came in and shored them up. I wasn't actually blown away by him against England. I think he had quite a lot of defending to do, which he did well. But it's not. I think his performance when he first burst onto the scene against Liverpool, it was twice as good as his game against England. I think it's just getting all caught up in the hysteria of the rivalry between England and Scotland. But obviously he's a massive miss. That means they're going to have to replace him with Scott McTominay, who I love. But I think for what Scotland are looking for, I don't think Scott McTominay does that job in terms of distributing, getting the ball forward as quickly as possible. And and so on. So obviously it's a massive miss. But yeah, they need to sort of look into how he's got that, because surely he's been into contact with someone externally if no one else has got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how worried are you, Connor, about, obviously as soon as a bubble breaks within this COVID era, so to speak, and we know about the new variant, it can spread like wildfire. How worried are you about the fact that, this young lad here has suddenly contracted COVID? There's no explanation for it, but apparently everyone else is okay. Like, obviously, if this gets into a camp, that's a country's tournament over, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I mean, like James said, he must have been in contact with somebody else. If everyone else has produced negative tests from the Scotland and England side, then he must have come into contact with someone else. You don't just develop it yourself. So that's the first point. But I wouldn't put it past UEFA to carry on the games regardless of how many COVID cases there are. They're that kind of corporation, aren't they? They'll just keep the games going regardless of how many players are missing. They'll just be calling up the under 18s or something. So, yeah, it'll be a big miss for Scotland for sure, because against England they could get McGregor in the side, obviously push McTominay back to right centre back. I think he played and played Gilmour just in front. So from a Scotland point of view, yeah, I'm sure he's going to be a big miss for them. But yeah, COVID in the Euros has been quite small, hasn't it? I think there's only been a handful of players that have contracted it. So hopefully it stays that way and it doesn't impact the tournament too much. Because like you said, you don't want a team's hopes ruined by a few COVID cases. If they get, like you said, it can spread quite quickly. If they get 4, 5, 6 players out, like you said, that's pretty much their tournament ruined. So it'd be a shame to see that, but fingers crossed it stays low amount of numbers in the squad.
It's a good point by Bok. What actually happens if a whole squad? Because ultimately, all the players now, like we've seen with Lingard, who potentially was on a call-up list, obviously he's now on his holidays. Like, how do they manage this? How do they make it, so to speak, work? I don't know. I think the country would just have to forfeit. I think the country would be out. I don't think there'd be any contingency plan. Charlie, the one other bit of news today from the Euros is surrounding the French squad, and Dembele's had to pull out with a knee injury. I mean, they've got such a plethora of talent, haven't they? France. Did I say Spain? Oh, I said France, didn't I? Did I say Spain?
Yeah.
I think
I said France. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I said France. Good host, Ben. Well done. So Dembele's had to put out the French squad. Will he be a miss to them, or obviously they've got an adequate squad to be able to deal with an injury like that?
Yeah. That Dembele. I mean, he seems to be the Eric Bailly of France, doesn't he? He can't stay fit. It's just, it's a bit of a shame. He's got a load of talent, Dembele. Nobody's disputing that he's a very talented player. But ultimately, if you can't stay fit as a footballer, you're not worth taking. He's gone. I think he came on, didn't he, against Hungary, and he played quite well, and then he got substituted because he was injured. So he's got a lot of talent, but the poor lad, he can't stay fit. I don't think it'll affect France. They've got a lot of quality, and France are one of those teams. I think, they don't let too many goals in, France. So then, they'll win games narrowly through big moments. They've got big players who turn up in big moments. Mbappe, Griezmann. You've even got Giroud, who I think isn't he France's second all-time scorer or something behind Henry. I think I don't know whether that's correct. But I think Giroud has scored lots and lots of goals for France. And even when he doesn't score, Giroud, he always makes an impact. You think about set pieces, you think about the way he terrorizes defenders and, draws people to him, might leave more space for Mbappe and Griezmann in behind. So, yeah, France have got a lot of quality, and I don't think it'll affect them too much. And just on the Gilmour point, it shouldn't affect England too much because no England player got near him on the pitch anyway on Friday night. But I did see after the game, Mason Mount and Chilwell, as Roy Keane doesn't like, opposition players play for the same country but for different. Players who, when Man United played Man City and Maguire and John Stones went for the big hug after. When Man United lost, Roy Keane wasn't very happy with opposition players, congratulating each other, and Chilwell and Matt were doing that, congratulating Gilmour after the game, hugging and standing with him. So it could have an impact on England, but it's a bit strange because obviously this virus, I think it takes sometimes up to 7 days for you to actually test positive, even if you've got it inside you. I think the induction period is up to 7 days or something. So if Gilmour caught this virus, he might have caught it 4 or 5 days ago. We might not know the full impact. So these players might test positive again tomorrow or Wednesday. So we can't. I don't think you can say too much yet because everything happens after a week or so. So there could already be 20 players who have got COVID but don't know yet. So we're not so sure. I don't know when they conducted the tests, the negative test. Was it yesterday? Or was it this morning?
Well, I think everyone's had to be tested this morning. Yeah. So ultimately, England have registered negative tests, as have staff at Wembley, and from what I saw as well, so have the rest of the Scotland squad. And there are no close contacts. Although there were rumours at the start that Andy Robinson is room shares with Gilmour, and who was the other one? There's another player as well. I can't remember who, but yeah. So it's going to be interesting. We have to wait and see what more comes out in the Gilmour situation. But he is obviously out of the tomorrow's big game against Croatia for Scotland. We'll have to wait and see what he does. Maybe they'll mix it up again and actually go for it. Guys, thank you for that today. We're obviously back tomorrow at midday. But right now, let's get you winning. If you're watching this back later on, you can still enter to win. These podcasts have been put on in partnership with the Mystery Shirt Club. All you have to do, if you want to win yourselves a Euro Mystery Shirt box, is get in the comments of this video, not the live chat, the comment. So once this video finishes, refresh the page, go down, add a comment, and tell us who you think is going to win the Euros. If you get that right immediately after that full-time whistle goes, the team that wins will pick someone at random who chose that country to win a Euros mystery shirt box. It's that simple. Comment with the team you think are going to win the Euros, and we could be getting you winning a Euro mystery shirt box. And if you can't wait till then and you want a bit of the mystery Euro shirt box experience, go online to themysteryshirtclub.com and use the code AFU10, that is AFU10, for a 10% discount on all mystery shirt boxes at themysteryshirtclub.com. Right, we'll get out of here. Have a good day today, guys. Enjoy the football later on. Let's go for a North Macedonia win, shall we? Yep, 100%. We're all on board for that. And we will speak to you tomorrow at midday. Bye for now. Stay safe, everyone. Cheers, lads.